Vic, thank you so much for agreeing to have a chat with me. I really do appreciate it. So I thought one of the problems that I've had with these videos is they're going on so long. So what I'm going to do this time round is ask you questions, and then I'm going to cut it into those Q&A bits. So there'd be more like a series of questions and answers.
Or I could just speak less.
No, it's good. I think that's the challenge, right? We need to have these conversations because 3-line headlines are no good, but at the same time we've got to sort of get content right for people wanting to listen to it. So
yes,
let's start the first Q&A question. If you're able to pitch to everyone listening a little bit about who you are, who and why you think that the New Liberals is a party worth voting for in 2022.
Okay, so you probably have to look at how we started. So we're the national executive are 4 friends, and we're sitting around having our usual bitch session over a glass of red wine, nobody to vote for. And my wife, Catherine, who's now the president of the party, she said, you know that old adage, somebody should do something about this. Oh, hang on, I am somebody. Mm-hmm. She said, we are somebodies. And she's kind of the intellectual driving force behind this party. When she said that, we all looked at each other and we went, yeah, you know, we're old enough and ugly enough and we've been around the block often enough and we probably could do something. And then she said, well, if we're going to do it, we have to be in every way different from the parties that we despise. Because what we were being desperate about, which I think everyone in the country is desperate about, not so much the policies, although, you know, there are a lot of bad policies out there, particularly around climate change and so on. But even more so, people are worried about the system, the structure of our democracy, which seems to be sliding towards a kind of new Argentina, where you've got these careerist politicians who, you know, now 80%, in the case of the Labor Party, 95% of their parliamentarians have never worked outside politics or the unions. And as a result, they don't know what's going on in the average punter's mind, and they don't care. And we said that, you know, it's that that's getting us down. It's that that's frustrating people. It's that that's making people feel like they don't have a voice. And Catherine said, you know, if we're going to do this, we have to make sure we're in every way different from that political class. And the first way we're different is because we're not politicians, and none of us had ever considered going into politics except we got to that point of total frustration and desperation. And all our candidates and all our members are people who have not been professional politicians. So that was the first way in which we were different. That's a kind of commonality around the world, I suppose. Grassroots, real people getting into politics because they're frustrated by the careerist politicians. But Catherine said, you know, the other way that we have to be different is we have to draft a charter of core values, and we have to make that available on our website so that people can call us out if ever we want to diverge from that. And more importantly, we can call ourselves out, because one of the key problems with careerist politicians is they're happy to change their principles as often as their shirts. And we had to say what we were about and stick to that. And the interesting thing was that I was given the job of drafting the Charter of Core Values, and I may have told you this when we spoke informally before, but you'd think that'd be something that would take weeks and weeks of agonizing and so on. But Catherine went out for an hour and a half shopping. When she came back, it was written. And that's pretty much what you see on the website now. And I realized that I had all this stuff inside me that was just waiting for an excuse to pour out. And the fascinating thing was that Catherine looked at it and she liked it, and that wasn't surprising. We're very similar in our philosophies. But we thought, you know, we'd both been Labor voters all our lives, and we need to show it to other sorts of people. So first of all, I showed it to my brother-in-law, whose father had been press secretary to Sir Robert Menzies. So he'd been voting Liberal all his life. A staunch Liberal voter. He agreed with every point in the Charter of Core Values. I then showed it to a friend who's a Christian Democrat voter. He agreed with, these people are all now members of the party, by the way.
Wow.
He's agreed with every single point in the Charter of Core Values. And I then showed it to a friend who's a Greens voter, and he's only a Greens voter because he can't go further to the left, and used to call me a fascist for voting Labor. and he agreed with every point in the Charter of Core Values.
Wow.
I realised then that what we'd created was not a political document, but a statement of the need, the basic human needs that everybody has, or everybody who's not, you know, a crazy ratbag on one end of the spectrum or the other. It's often said that 80 to 90% of people will agree on the fundamentals of what a democracy needs. And I think that's what that document was. So we've gone from there, and we've gone out. And the other thing Catherine said was we have to, the main thing that we have to do beyond that Charter of Core Values is we have to tell the truth. And we have to always tell the truth, and we have to tell the truth irrespective of the consequences. And so when we came to name the party, we realised that the truly opposite term for us was liberal, as that word is understood around the world and has been for 250 years, meaning a party that believes in the freedom of the individual, but a strong place for government to make sure that in exercising that freedom, the individual doesn't impinge on the freedom of others. A party that believes in compassion, justice, equality of opportunity. But we knew that if we used that term, we would be buying a world of trouble from centre-left voters who would immediately associate it with what the Liberal Party of Australia have done to the word, that is, pervert it to mean ultra-conservative. So that was our first test. Are we going to tell the truth, or are we going to try and avoid that world of trouble? And we told the truth. And we got the world of trouble. But when you talk to a left of centre voter and they realise how progressive we are and what we're about, they have more respect, I think, for the fact that we weren't going to compromise on something as fundamental as our name. So I think that there's a long-winded, I said I was going to be brief, but it's a long-winded answer to your question. I think that what we present, all our candidates are highly intelligent, gutsy people with a strong moral compass, who come out of the real world, have their own expertise, business people, builders, lawyers, plumbers, healthcare workers, all sorts of people. And they have an expertise, and they have that expertise to bring to the benefit of the nation. And I suppose what you'd call us is a populist party, but that word populist has come to be associated with the right-wing extremists. It doesn't have to be. The word just means appealing directly to the people, as opposed to trying to set up some sort of contact with the political class, the careerist political class. So I think we're giving something totally new, totally progressive, totally honest to the voters of Australia. And I suppose our greatest truth is that people say, well, but when you get to the crunch, you're going to have to compromise to get into power. And what we say is, we won't compromise. We have our Charter of Core Values, and we will stick to that charter. And if people like that, they'll vote us in, and we can give them a strong, honest government that hasn't compromised. And if they don't like it, or the political machinery of the big parties buries us, then we'll go back to our day jobs. Sadly, but we'll go back to our day jobs, because there's no point in getting yourself into this ludicrously ironic situation where you have a set of values and you compromise them in order to put that set of values into practice. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it never has worked. So I think, if you're asking what's different, I think everything about us is different. And everything about us is new, and everything about us is real. And that's what we hope will appeal to people. I personally think the moment has come. That malaise that we felt sitting around drinking our red wine and bitching about nobody to vote for was not just us. It is wherever I go, whoever I talk to, from university professors to cab drivers, they all feel the same thing. So I think the moment is here where people will say, yeah, we're ready to give that sort of thing a go. We're sick of the two-party system. We want to change. And I think the ultimate answer to your question is that we are the right people at the right time with the right approach.